Okay, I wanted to do a quick video to kind of go over a few of these examples, just so that if you're at home on your own and you're a little bit confused still, hopefully this will help you out. So remember that the very first thing that you always need to do is, from your angle, identify the relationships of the other sides. So the x is opposite of the angle, and the 7 is the hypotenuse. Remember, the hypotenuse is always across from the right angle. Then after you've identified what they are, you decide which of my trigonometry functions uses an O and an H, and that would be the sine. So we have sine 71 equals opposite over hypotenuse. Then from there, to solve, remember that if the x is on the top, you multiply the bottoms. Why did I put an h there? It is an h, but in this case it's 7. So you're going to multiply 7 times sine 71 for your final answer. Look at, I'm trying to pick ones that are different. Let's do number 16. So looking at number 16, again we focus on where the angle is, and we find the relationships. So across this relationship, so that would be opposite and adjacent, and the OA comes from tangent, so we'll use tangent 54 equals 8 over x, opposite over adjacent. Now if your variable's on the bottom, you switch these two. So then your new equation is 8 over tangent 54, and you put that in the calculator. So taking notice of these differences, in this case the x is on the top, so you would multiply. In this case the x is on the bottom, and so you divide. And then the key is just to make sure that you identify correctly and that you pick the correct trigonometry function. So I'm going to erase all of this stuff. And I'm going to help you identify some of these things and help you decide which trig function to use, if that will help a little bit. So on number 14, we have adjacent and hypotenuse, so that would be using the cosine. On 15, we have opposite and hypotenuse, so that would be using sine. We already did 16. 17, we have opposite and hypotenuse, so that's sine again. 18, we have adjacent and hypotenuse, so that would be cosine. So that's a few to kind of get you started. Now let's look at, I don't know how to delete all of that. Ooh, I don't know what I'm doing. I take it back. I don't know, I broke it. Stop! That's not, no. Computer. Dang. Okay, don't laugh at me. I already know that you are. It's fine. I don't really care. Moving on to the new one that we did. So the trigonometric inverses. So this one, like I said, I think this one's easier because there's not the worry of, well, do I multiply? Do I divide? Like, it's just the same thing. So we start by identifying the relationship. So we have, ew, that's an ugly color. Maybe this one. So we have opposite and hypotenuse. So that's going to be the sine. So we do sine inverse equals 5 over 9. So in the calculator, you'll put second sine and then just put your fraction in, just like that. And that's all you have to do. Another example, looking at my angle, this would be the opposite and this would be adjacent. So you would do tangent inverse 40 over 55. And that's it. And it's going to give you the angle measurements. That's all you got to do. So I'll go ahead and help you identify some more of what they are. So here we have adjacent and hypotenuse. So you would use cosine. Here we have opposite and hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse. So you would use sine. This is opposite adjacent. So you would use tangent. 5 opposite adjacent. So tangent again. 6 adjacent hypotenuse cosine. So again, similar to the other one, you just have to make sure that you are choosing the right one and putting them in the fraction correctly. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory. So I'm going to go down to this part because I had a few questions on it. This is just exactly the same thing. It's just written a little bit differently. So they want to know the tangent of A. So that's like if I just had an X right here, it'd be the same thing. So you would do tangent 1/2. So it's like doing the inverse, just like that. And then when you're doing these ones with the square root symbol, you just put it in there just like that. So it would be the inverse cosine and then a square root of 2 divided by 2. Just be careful, I mentioned this to a couple classes, be careful that when you do the square root part right here, that it doesn't continue over the dividing by 2. So if your calculator looks like this, it's going to be wrong, because the square root part only applies to this first 2. It doesn't apply to the dividing by 2 part. Just be careful on that. And then when you get down to this part with the ends in it, anything with an n doesn't really matter. Like the ends just cancel out. So it's all about that ratio. This is really just 5 over 4, because if it was 10 over 8 or 15 over 12, it would all reduce down to 5 over 4, and you'd still get the exact same angle measurement because of the similar triangle relationships. So I hope that helps a little bit if you've been a little bit confused. Let me write down, just in case you don't have this stuff, which I guess isn't really helpful now if you've been watching this whole time. But that's okay. And some blank space. You have so, ka, toa, sine, opposite over hypotenuse, cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent, opposite over adjacent. So if you need a reminder of those, if you don't have your notes with you, that's there. And your homework is due Friday. I'll see you then. Bye.